My name is Shane Green, and I manage and play for the Ohio Valley Unicorns, which has not yet been announced. I'm 40 years old. I've played since I was like 6 or 7. I started playing as a kid in a backyard in Chicago, and my parents used to set up a net from one wall to another and between two apartment complexes, and we would play in the yard, and my parents would have like a beer in hand. My stepdad taught me the brilliant strategy of hit it where they ain't. That was my stepdad's major line, and it's something that literally taught me to see the court. So once I started playing more competitively at about 12 years old, I literally took that to heart and was always the kid that was hitting it where either the worst player was or hitting it to where nobody was. It grew into playing club at Western Illinois University, which is where I attended, and I became the president after a semester because our president dropped out in the middle of the year and told nobody, and nobody else wanted to do it, and a bunch of guys left, and I was like, I want to play volleyball. So I kept doing it, and since I took charge at about 18 years old, I have never stopped taking charge. I ran a team called Kids Need Hugs, Not Drugs, because I found a bunch of gear in my first school that I taught at that was like 1970s hats that said literally Kids Need Hugs, Not Drugs. With some high school buddies and a couple other guys that we picked up along the way. As I didn't really get good at volleyball until I started playing people who were better than me after college. So I started playing with the team called Just the Tip, who another college teammate was running. And then we were kind of done trying to organize. So we joined a team called, three of us joined a team called Luau, which is people who hold the luau's in Chicago. One of my luau teammates, my last year, or his last year playing for luau, went and was starting to play for some of the VLA teams. And my first interaction in finding out about the VLA was when he said he couldn't play for us because he was at nationals, because he was gonna play for a VLA team in a big tournament over Memorial Day. And I was like, why are we doing the same major weekend, you know? So I gave him a lot of crap for that. And then later I found out that the people that started the VLA, like Vince is a guy I went on a tour with in 2012 or 10 maybe. We played in Italy and Slovenia together, and I was the libero and he was the setter, and we had a great time. Tim Faulkner I've known since he was 19 years old. And so that's half of his life and approaching half of my life. Volleyball I've known obviously as, you know, one of those, when I was in college, he was like everyone's hero, you know? And then we went to like a luau one day and Volleyball showed up, or Best of the Midwest, I don't remember what it was, and Volleyball just shows up, and you know, so I'm not a antisocial person, and I went right up to him. So I knew those three guys already, and I heard that they were running it, so I was curious and started asking them a little bit more questions. And there was already a couple of Chicago teams, a bunch of guys I knew playing, so I knew the competition was really good, and I was like, well, I can do that. The tough part is I'm in Lexington, Kentucky, and there's not a whole lot of men's volleyball here. So I started reaching out, and I was like, I'll include Louisville, who at least has a club, now has 2 or 3 men's clubs, and I'll include Cincinnati because a lot of the guys I went to Spain with were from that area, and we ended up growing, and we've held tryouts a couple times, and now we're at the point where we're pretty good. Came up with a name. It took me like 3 weeks to find it, but I was looking through like Kentucky and Ohio like themes, and we went to Bourbon. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, Bourbon is probably where we'll get the best sponsors. I started looking at Bourbon thoroughly, and then I saw the term unicorn, and I was like, we're really weird, kind of out there, goofy guys. This could really work. So I checked in with like 2 of them, and yeah, you know, we're just kind of weird, goofy guys, and that really fits us. So we went with it, and the term in Bourbon is for a hard to find bourbon. So I was like, we can use that as like one of our things that hard to find bourbon. We want to be hard to find humans, like the good human on the court that always is being above and beyond in sportsmanship and still has the opportunity to win, and put their. I want to be known for not being a great team. I don't want to be known for being, that loud, obnoxious team. I want to be known for being the goofy, fun team that everybody wants to go drink with afterwards.
I'm also partial to the name. That was my high school mascot. Unicorns are my high school mascot. Okay, so I know you said that you didn't want to be like known as, necessarily being the best team, but you guys got promoted this past season. So can you talk a little bit about like what that experience was like and what the road to get to promotion looked like for y'all?
The road to get to promotion was very stressful. Some of the rules have changed this year, but I was literally getting us in anything and everything we can play. I mean, there was a time when we were playing in Michigan and I flew in a guy from Toronto that I'd never met just to make sure we had a middle because we didn't have the middles, and we had already said yes. I'm also one of the people that if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And I had a couple of people that had to back out, and I think we had 2 actual unicorns in that tournament aside from me. And I literally just picked up people, and I think 3 of them I had never even played with in my I've been playing for 28 years, right? So, but it's been a lot of that. We played in, I think, like 28 tournaments in 2 years, and that's just a lot. And we had some really great wins along the way, and we are a good team. But honestly, to get us to tier 1, it was more about like getting down and dirty and playing as much as we could.
What's next for you guys? You talked about maybe having a 3rd team, now adding a 2nd team to sort of like spread the wealth, talking about the Horns and Corns tournament. Like, what else are you guys seeing is next steps?
Next steps for us, I think, can be broken down into a few things. One is we want to be a successful tier 1 team. At times I've seen, where you don't have the best tier 1 lineup, and I don't ever want to bring that to the table. So I want to always just have a solid team. Even if we're not winning, I want to have a solid team that shows up, that can compete and, go to 4, go to 5, and even if we're not winning, just have those competitive, strong matches. So we are going to heavily try to get our local college kids next year. So that's a big goal for us, possibly expanding to a 3rd team, and then really trying to get one of those, land a big sponsor, like a $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 sponsor is going to be a goal. We already have $10,000 in sponsors this year, but we're going to try to land like a big sponsor, like a Woodford or a Buffalo Trace. We're adding the Ohio Valley region as a sponsor this year, and that's why we're changing our name to the Ohio Valley Unicorns, because they are great. Talking with Ryan and Lene, one
like
day
USAV?
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. So USA Volleyball, the Ohio Valley region. Yeah. So we were at a tournament in Columbus last year in December, and I talked to them and met them, and they just liked that we came for the kids. We have these wristbands. I've got a whole bunch of them, but I'm on right now. But we have these wristbands that we give to every kid that cheers for us. So we bought 2,000 last year and gave out 2,000 wristbands. Our goal is always to play in front of kids because they're the future of volleyball, and show them that it's about having fun and being good sports, but also being good. You can do all of it if you work at it, whether it's mentally, emotionally, or physically. You can do it all. And then the last thing I think I'd want to say is that our major cheer will always be, let's get horny.